Welcome to Success in Motion. Join us as we dive deep with top leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals, uncovering strategies to grow, scale, and succeed.
Welcome back to the Success in Motion podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and I'm joined here by Alex Dobias. Alex is the founder of Dobias Mechanical Engineering. He specializes in industrial and healthcare design, but he's not limited to that. He also loves baseball and is a father of two kids. Alex, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Alex, give us a quick snapshot of your business right now.
So my business right now, I do a lot of industrial, like you said, a lot of large central plant systems in industrial facilities, but I don't limit myself to that. I also do a lot of smaller things as well. I'm doing work for Habitat, for my local Habitat for Humanity out here, so some touching on the residential, also going into restaurants. I am certified to do the healthcare design, like you mentioned, but I don't limit myself to what I work on.
Yeah, so you've been working in mechanical engineering for at least 15 years now, and you've been working for yourself for going on 2 years now.
Mhm.
What was it that made you want to go from employee to employer?
Yeah, really, it was about wanting to be able to have a little more control over doing the projects in the way I felt was best for the clients themselves. Working for somebody else, you have to kind of follow their rules, and there are, pros and cons to doing that. There, some of those other folks are more experienced and they've been around and kind of see how it goes. But at about the 14-year mark or where I was at, I kind of felt like I had a good grasp on it, and I wanted to be able to have more control over it. So, the best way I knew to do that, and a lot of engineers do, is they go out and they start their own company. And I hadn't intended just to jump off and go into my company on the deep end, but that's just how it worked out. The project that I got to start me off. But really, it was about wanting to give clients, building owners, architects, whoever it is that I'm going to be working for, the service that they deserve for the money that they're spending on it. Because it's not cheap to have things professionally engineered, your buildings professionally engineered, but if they're going to be spending the money to do it, I want it done right for them and in the right way.
Yeah, before the recording, we were talking about some of this, and it's not just getting it done in the right way, but it's also getting it done in the way that they want it. So tell us a little bit about how this sets you apart from other mechanical engineers.
So a lot of times you'll get into a project. One of the biggest complaints I hear from owners, architects is, the engineers will come in, they'll hire an engineer to do a project, and they'll get in there and say, this is the way you have to do it. And then that's just the only direction that'll the project will go in. There are so many ways to do any building HVAC design, plumbing system, what have you. So infinite number of ways. So what I like to do is go out and, based on my experience, all the different systems and all the different designs that exist out there, is think about, 3 to 5 different ways that we could do their building for them within the budget that they have. And I present those options to the owner and say, here are some options. Here's pros and cons to them. Here's a rough cost of what they might be, and let them decide how they're going to spend their money based on now the knowledge that they have that I provided them about my experience in these different areas. And a lot of that is rooted as well. And I work very closely with contractors. I do contractors, also mechanical general contractors. So I spread that out. I don't just work for architects or building owners. I also work for contractors. Whoever is in need, I can help them out. So I have a good idea on the cost, which is usually the driver for a lot of, owners, and is how much is this going to cost me? So,
Yeah, well, talking about the cost, isn't it more expensive for you to take the man hours to build 3 to 5 plans rather than just saying, here's your plan?
absolutely. But, after, you gain experience in those different items and different areas. So, yes, it does take more time to do that and go through those different options. But, having a good idea what those different directions are and having a very large network of people who know a lot of this stuff is very helpful. If, I want to go in a certain direction, I have people that can help me give me, those different options and say these different, what they might cost, the equipment and the installation and what have you. So, like I said, I work with a lot of contractors, so I can bounce ideas off them. I I'm not I mean I am a solo engineer right now at my company, but I have a very large network of people that I can bounce things off of. A lot of people that I've met over the 15 years that I've been in the industry here in Oklahoma.
So do you find that having those options that you're sharing with your potential clients, um, do you find that the reward of doing it that way lands you more deals than doing it just the standard way, the cookie cutter way, which then would offset the cost of doing the 3 or 5 plans?
I mean, if you when you do it that way, they're knowledgeable what they're getting into from the beginning and they know what they're going to get at the end. I'm very driven on communication. I've always been that way. So, at my past companies, I always became a project manager within a very short period of time because they saw that I had that ability to go out and have these discussions with owners. And I'm not nervous to go do it. I'm
Yeah.
happy to go do it. I want them to be involved in it because I don't want to get all the way through the design and the engineering that I do, get to the end and have the owner not like it. I want them to like it. And yes, that does bring people back, when you have the conversations and you're open with them about what they're getting into. Um, yeah, I've been in the situation before where we got to the end and they weren't happy with the product at past past projects, but I've learned from those mistakes, and now it's most of the work comes up front, like you said, come up with those options. But then once you decide that direction, you can just go right through it.
Yeah, the point that I was trying to get to is a lot of times we get mixed up with being efficient and being effective.
Hmm.
It's super efficient to say, here's your plan, take it or leave it,
Right.
right? You go through the motions once, you're done. They either take it and you move forward with the customer or you go to the next. But that's not the most effective way. And it seems like you would be able to generate more clients, true clients, by saying, here's 3 plans. Which one do you want? Put the choice in their hand, put the power in their hands to get what they actually want. Now they have to understand you have limitations of engineering that you have to follow, but there's a lot of customization that you can have in that. And by having that, you're going to land more clients who are happy with you, who will become repeat customers, who will be referrals, word of mouth referrals, who are going to say, yeah, Alex is the guy that you need to work with because he's going to do it the way that you want it and not tell you how you have to do it. And so, but he's also going to keep you in line with uh, the smart way of doing things. And so
Yeah.
putting in a little effort up front that may or may not warrant something, it it really generates so much on the back end of those interactions that I personally think it's a genius idea of what you're doing. And if everybody else is doing it one way, you go to the other way, and you're going to set yourself up for success.
Yeah, I want them to have control over what's going on. My only limitations in doing any design is code that has to meet code, and physics.
Yeah, physics is one of those things that, as hard as we try to get around it, it kind of locks us into our
Yep.
options. So, if someone wants to get into mechanical engineering, where do you think they should? Where would you recommend that they should start?
Well, it depends on what they want to do. There's a lot of different jobs in engineering you can do. If you want to, you know, professional engineering, you sign and seal your drawings. So you get a stamp and you sign and you seal the drawing you do. And that signature and seal says that these drawings are code compliant and everything within them will work. So in order to do that higher, yeah, that higher end, the professional engineering part of it, you do have to have a 4-year degree from an ABET accredited university, and they're everywhere. And there's lots of different ways to do it. Obviously, there's a ton of different engineering degrees you can get, and after you get the degree, there's even more options for what you can do with it. This industry specifically, in this building industry, you do need a license. A lot of them you don't. But to get into engineering, you got to get the degree from a 4-year college to be able to get licensed to do it.
Do you have any suggestions or recommendations, tips for anybody who might be looking at getting a degree?
I mean, most things in life are how driven are you to do it. If you want to do it, you're going to probably find a way to do it. Engineering is math heavy, so you probably should be decent at that. I dislike when anybody says, "Oh, I'm not good at math, so I can't do it." Well, you can if you want to, you will. So, go give it a shot. Math is, in my opinion, it's one of the easier things to do because there's an answer. You just need to figure out how to find that answer. There's a definitive answer to each question. I mean, there's maybe more than one, but there is an answer to that question. So, you have to have an affinity for math, and you have to have an affinity for problem solving. Everything that I do is a series of solving problems in different ways. So, if you like doing that, that's pretty much what this job is.
Yeah, you definitely have to, in any career, you have to understand what you're getting yourself into. What are the common obstacles with that? Engineering being math. A lot of people are scared of math,
Hmm.
or they just don't, maybe not scared of it, they just don't enjoy it. And so if you don't enjoy math,
Yeah.
maybe being an engineer isn't for you.
Yeah. More than
If you don't
likely.
like if you don't like problem solving, maybe being an engineer isn't for you. But if you love math or can tolerate it and you love solving problems, then yeah,
Yes.
go check it out. Go see what it's all about.
Mhm.
Um, so in in your career, what's been one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges. I can't really say there's a big challenge. I mean, every single project it's a little bit different, so it's just more about taking the time to go through them. Um, Maybe some of the biggest challenges is just each hurdle you have to jump along the way. Starting from the prototypical projects, doing the Walmarts and the Arby's, and then taking the next step into going and doing more non-typical buildings and restaurants, and then getting in, just jumping into designing ORs and MRIs. And that jump for between those two is massive. It's entirely different. I thought I kind of knew what was happening after I started at my first company, and then I got into my second. It was like, oh, there's a lot more. You'll never know everything in an industry. There's so much to learn, but each time you jump into something new, it's a challenge. But I also have the mentality that I will figure this out. I have thus far, and it's just a mental block to try to get into that next step.
It sounds like through your career, you've made several of these leaps into uh, new ponds, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, what is it that's driven you to get out of your comfort zone and go take that new challenge rather than just doing, well, you're good at doing the Walmarts or standard building design. Why didn't you stay with those? What made you want to go bigger or different?
I like to be challenged. So I don't do well sitting down and just doing the same thing repeated over and over and over. So I like the different challenges, and I keep thinking it's like, all right, I feel like I've got a lot of experience in a lot of different things, and I feel pretty comfortable that the next thing that comes my way, I've done one before and it'll be good. And then something gets thrown at me that's entirely different and something new. And I got to go figure that out. But again, it's the drive to figure it out, and it's really just a drive to give the owners, architects, whoever that may be, the product that they deserve. I just feel like they deserve something for the money they're spending. It's just the way that I would want to be treated if I was on the opposite side. If I'm doing a building and I have no idea how a building operates, I'd want somebody to come to me, that I hire to have a, desire to make it what I want it, as long as it meets code and all those different things. So
One of one of my favorite quotes is from Les Brown. He's a motivational speaker. And I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but it's uh, don't let what you want to say get in the way of what your client needs to hear.
mm,
And you just said that you love diving into all of these things and sharing all this stuff. How do you throttle that intensity for all of the engineering jargon and things that you can talk about, and keeping that in a package that is appropriate for the person that you're talking to?
that's experience. As an engineer, obviously there's a lot of technical details you can get into, but you have to be able to read who you're talking to, right? You can't talk over their head because completely, it's just going to be over their head and they're not going to know what you're talking about. So over the I've been a project manager for projects at the companies for 12 of the 13 years I was working there. So just developing that skill and how to talk to people and listen to what they're saying and kind of gauge how they need you to work with them. Um, I get a lot of feedback that I can describe what I or tell them to the design that I'm intending for them to have in a way that's digestible for them. Because you can get carried away with those details. And, a lot of those details, I just need to know. They don't need to know that stuff. They need to know what they're going to get out of it in a way that they can understand. If they ask me, I'm more than happy to get into the details with them of how it works. But, they don't always need to know and don't always want to know. Some people just want, here's my building, give me a system for it. And happy to do that. Or some people are more curious. I'm a curious person. I ask questions all the time. Tell me how this works. I want to know why and how it works. So anywhere in between there, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, it definitely is a skill of knowing, of reading people to understand what level of information they want. Because if you talk over their head, you're going to lose them. If you talk under their head or under their level, you're going to lose them. You're
Yep.
probably going to lose them more by talking over their head than under their head. And so just talking at their level is really important. And I had a guy, I used to work in sales, and I sold things to hotels and restaurants.
Mhm.
And I had an owner of a hotel, and this was before I heard the quote from Les Brown. I got in super deep into how my product worked, and he's like, Michael, I don't care how your snake oil works. I just want to know that it works and that it's going to give me the results that I need. And that really it confused me because I am very analytical. When I am buying something, I want to know everything about it and probably more than I need to know about it. And so being able to slow down and pick out the important parts of that to share to show them that I know what I'm talking about, but not overwhelming them with all the information, it was something that took time and effort for me to really find that balance. And so if you can do that, you're definitely going to connect with people on a more deep level, and be able to show them that you're actually paying attention to them. Uh,
Mhm.
and so that's awesome that we got to talk about that. Let's change gears a little bit. There's a buzzword going around right now, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask people about uh, challenges in juggling work life and personal life and work life balance. Is that a thing? Is it necessary? What are your thoughts on that?
Is work-life balance a thing?
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you have to be able to find a way to do it. I having two young kids, I want to spend the time that I'm not working with them. And at the moment, I'm very fortunate in that I am able to work from home, which is another reason that I wanted to go into starting my own business was having that ability to see them more because I know that they're only going to be the ages that they are under 10 years old for a very limited amount of time. So I wanted to have that ability. I have aspirations to make this company larger, but I wanted the ability to see them. But on the work-life balance, yes. at the point whenever I do end up with employees, having managed people in the past, you have to give them the freedom to have that work-life balance. You shouldn't be forcing people to work. You hear about it all the time in professional industries in America right now about how people are, trying to cut back on the hours that they're working because, there are studies that show they're more efficient working less hours, even going to a 4-day work week. So kind of juggling those different ideas, but yes, you have to find a way. And the best way to get the work-life balance that you want is to communicate what your needs are. Your bosses, your whoever they are, they're not going to know what you want unless you talk to them. And even then, even if you talk to them and they don't give you the answer that you want, then maybe that's not the job for you. But you have to find that balance. You can't just go to work every day and burn yourself out 40, 50 hours, 60 hours a week when you feel like you should be spending more time with your family.
Yeah, I think work-life balance is an interesting topic, and I get a different response from everybody that asks that question too.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks that there's something to do there. You have to have some degree of work time and some degree of personal time, but it's a different response from everybody, and I like asking that question because it's something that I've struggled with. I have over the years had to balance work life. I also work at home, and with that, you have the opportunity to be around your kids all day. But if you're with your kids all day, are you getting work done?
Right.
Right? And then if you're around your kids, but you're still getting work done, are you really spending time with your kids, or are you just another piece of furniture?
Sure.
Right? And so finding that, I find it intriguing, um, the balance of not just being there, but being present.
Yeah,
And so when you are with your kids, you're actually spending time with them and not spending time on your phone or spending time working, doing things that need to be done, but could be done when you're not spending time with your kids. For me, I set a do not disturb uh, alarm on my phone during family time. Now,
yeah,
during that time, I can choose to go and work, but it's a, a a decisive decision that I'm making to go and do that rather than my phone calling me away from my family. And so everybody
absolutely.
has to find whatever it is, the tools that you use to separate that. Um, well, Alex, it sounds like things are going well for you and your business. A lot of people are looking towards the future and how they can create a passive income to enhance or even replace their current active income. What are your thoughts about this?
About looking towards the future.
Uh, Passive income.
Passive income. Oh, I see. Having I have several different thoughts on that. Obviously right now I'm reinvesting any additional income I have back into the business to try to grow it. That is my main direction, is growing this to more. But creating passive income, I think there's a lot to be said about owning commercial real estate. Um, for a lot of different reasons, I've thought about residential on that side. But I think there's a lot you should look at commercial real estate a lot. It's more expensive, but I think it's the better way to go on it. And obviously you have all the stocks and different things like that you can do, and investing into ETFs and what have you, but that stuff gets all complicated. You know,
Yeah, for sure. So if I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, it sounds like you think passive income is a good thing. It's something that we should be focusing on.
absolutely.
But obviously, you have to do it at the right time and the right stage of
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
For you, you have your business, and that is your income, and so you're going to put everything into that, build it up. Hopefully, one day you can turn that into a passive income opportunity, if where you get people working for you, and now you're making money off of them. But right now, it's an active income source.
Yeah,
Um, and then there's tons of opportunities out there to get into real estate, be it residential or commercial or industrial, whatever that space is. Um, I personally think that it is good to have passive income, but with that, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. If you're getting into a passive income and you think that buying a residential home and becoming a landlord is passive income, that's not actually true. You're
Yeah.
buying a business, and so there's some active nature there. If you're investing in the stock market, you can have a passive way of doing that, of set it and forget it, but you lose control over it.
Yeah.
Um, and then you can have the active investing in the stock market where you're day trading and doing all of this stuff. I think it really comes down to looking at the opportunity to invest and
Mhm.
deciding, what do I want to put into this and what do I want to get out of this? And if those things align with your goals, then move forward. If it doesn't, then you need to look for something else.
Absolutely.
Well, Alex, as we're wrapping up our interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
From a company standpoint, you know, I have a lot of exciting projects that are out there that are getting ready to go. I have a fraternity house that'll it's a very large project, and it's a very exciting project to be able to work on something like that. You know, I have some K through 12 schools that are upcoming. So most of the things that I'm looking forward to from the age that my business is just continuing to grow and try to contact potential clients and just get the different kinds of projects out there and grow my resume as a company. And you know, that's my focus right now is just trying to get my name out there and let people know that I exist. You know, in general, people in the industry, I've been 15 years, so people probably, a lot of them know my name, but maybe not everybody knows that I have my own company and what my full experience is and different things like that.
Yeah, there's two pain points with the business. It's one is getting your name out there so that people will come, and two is once you get them to come, can you handle that influx of business?
Right.
And so finding the balance in doing enough marketing to get your name out there, but not flooding yourself with uh, with leads, it's a
Absolutely.
challenge. Um, and so I think that's a pretty cool endeavor of in growing your business and building. And there's a lot of opportunities to work with marketing companies or do word of mouth or whatever you may need to do to get
Hmm.
your marketing out there. And I hope you find the right method to build this company the way that you want to.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for joining us today. This has been fun with you sharing some of your insights and tips with us. If people want to connect with you, what should they do?
Well, they can go to my website, Dobias, that's Dobiaspe, Dobias Professional Engineer, DobiasPE.com. Or you can always reach out on, give me a call at 918-808-3474. Pretty much always available. So any time of day, I'll answer the call.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Alex Dobias at Dobias Professional Engineering. Feel free to reach out to him through the methods that he has mentioned. And this is the end of the podcast on the Success in Motion podcast. We look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Success in Motion. Want to share your story? Visit successinmotionpodcast.com/guest to apply and be featured on the show.